All right, so we're gonna go over the FTC questions here. If my computer decide to work. Okay, so this is an FTC question. You should get 3, 10 minus 2 pi, -6 to -2, 2 to 5. Minimum value is 7 minus 2 pi. Justify your answer as the table. F double prime -5 is going to be -1/2. F double prime 3 does not exist. Okay, I'm going over everything. Just make sure you understand. So for me, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go. Oops. Wait. So you should try to understand how the work is being asked. So in this case, is you should pay attention to the function. The function is f prime of x. The problem is this one is f prime of x. So what I would do is I would do integration of f prime of x, because what they want f of -6. But they also give you something this. Next time you know this is called an initial condition. So if you talk to the other person, then you're going to tell them that's initial conditions. F prime of x dx it's going to be like this. And then, so you need to implement your initial condition. So I will plug in. And I was listening to Varian was talking the first period, and he was talking exactly like same thing I would tell people. Is I would actually use the initial condition is the lower boundary. So which is this one, you should start with -2. And the questions being asked, I'll put on an upper boundary, so it's -6 like this. Now, can you do it the other way? Yes, you could. You're gonna get the exact same answer. But just, for me, like, I can just do it this way, but it really depends on the preference. I just have always like not, I need to change your bound. But right now, I'm gonna write down the other side first, which is FTC, which is f -6 minus f of -2. Is that okay? If you write like this, you're gonna get some type of points. Since you want f of -6, I'm gonna add f of -2 on both sides. So add f of -2 on both sides. So it'll be f of -2 times plus between -2 to 6 of f prime of x is equal to f of -6, which is that's what we want. And f of -2 is 7, so it'll be 7. But I'm gonna also change the boundary from 6, so a -6 to -2 of f prime of x. I changed the boundary. Does that make sense? Because I don't like the low bound is higher value. Then this one's gonna be 7 minus, or the from here to here, this is the above, so we're gonna say this is blue, which is 2 and 4. So that's gonna be 2, 4 times half, which is 3. So that's equal to f of -6. So f of -6 is equal to 4. Sorry, is equal to 3. Is that okay? Did everybody get that or no? Now, some people says, can I do it the other way around? Yeah, of course. Long as you're being consistent with the FTC, you should get the same answer. So that just say if I do -6 to -2 of f prime of x, I'm gonna just do the same thing, right? And I can say f of -6, f of -2 minus f of -6. Since you want to figure out f of -6, f of -6 is going to be on this side, and that's equal to f of -2 minus from -6 to -2 of f prime of x. And you see that's end up to be exactly the same thing, which is a 7 minus 4. That's equal to 3. It doesn't matter which boundary you choose, long as you have to keep the same orientation of FTC. Now, B, for question B says interval is increasing. So f increasing, that means f prime because increasing and decreasing is a prime. Does that make sense? Are you following me? So f prime of x is less than 0. Oh, sorry, positive, greater than 0. That's actually your justification. That's actually your justification. Now you're going to write down the answer. The answer basically is f prime of x is greater than 0. That means they are above x-axis. So therefore, it's going from -6 to -2 and from 2 to 5. Now, show you including the endpoint. I usually don't including the endpoint because that's 0. So 0 is not really increasing or decreasing. So therefore, I don't use the boundary unless they are above. So I would say if I were including endpoint, yeah, I can put a bracket on -6 maybe, but like if I did not really critical about this part, and in 2 to 5, you can including the bracket for this one if you really want, but they don't take points off if you did a mistake. C, minimum value, absolute minimum value. So for you guys need to understand there was an x and there was a f. Which point is you including? Which x value should including? The endpoint. I don't know how many times I have to say that, but -6 and 5, right? And since we already know what happened at -6, -6 according to that we got earlier is 3, and this one's gonna be oh, we didn't do the other one. So f of 5. So integration from -2 to 5 of f prime of x, that should equal to f of 5 minus f of -2. And so that means f of -2 plus -2 to 5 of f prime of x dx. So that means this one is 7 plus integration from -2 to 5. So that's going to be -2 pi because they are below x-axis. This is a pi r squared divided by 2. So that's equal to 2 pi. And then that's going to be plus 2, 3. That's going to be 3. So that's going to be 10 minus 2 pi. So it'll be 10 minus 2 pi. Is that okay? And what is -2? They already told you this is 7. So -2, that's 7. At 2, it's going to be 7 minus 2 pi. Why? Because at here, you got a 7 here. Right? You got a 7 at -2. But if you keep on integrate further all the way to this point, which is below x-axis, and this pi r squared, so that should be -2 pi. So then you should get this. So here's the thing. What is the maximum value at? Let's just ask Glitter. Can you tell me where's the maximum value here? It's -2. No. Absolute. Oh, so wait, absolute minimum value, but it's not -2 anyway. Yeah, the question says minimum value. Can you tell me what the minimum value is? 7 minus 2 pi. 2 is wrong. Why is 2 wrong? It's a value. So please understand that. I don't know how many times I'm going to stress this. The value is the output. Now, if they say, where does the absolute minimum occur at x, then you can say it's 2, right? But absolute minimum occur, you can say where in x, then that's different questions. If they should say, find the absolute minimum value, that means the output. Yes. They still give you the point if you write down the coordinate? I will not write down the coordinate. I will write down, I will say this, and you can say absolute minimum value. I'm just lazy, but I would just write down 7 minus 2 pi. Like correctly, I would write down absolute maximum value. In this case, it's going to be 7. And so you have to make sure you understand that. Okay, C. Now, This is justification. So this is a +1 here, and this is a +1. And here, if you write down the work, if this one is +1, and there's a +1, and this is a +1 justification, this is answer +1. So total this is 6 points now. F double prime of -5, that is just gonna be looking at a slope. So slope is -2, 4, so it'll be -2/4, which is, you can use say -1/2 or -2/4. They both are acceptable. Both answers are fine because one is not simplified. Now F double prime at 3 is what? Does not exist, but how do I justify it? Now here's a problem. How do we justify it? You have to say, well, the slope here is 2. The slope here is from the left side, so it'll be limits as x approach 3 from the left of f double prime of x. That's equal to 2 because that has a slope of 2 here. And limit x approach, you have to do it on both sides. That's how you define it does not exist. At this case, do you see that it's decreasing by 1? So it's going to be 1. So therefore, your justification says limit 3 from the left of f double prime of x does not equal to limit x approach 3 plus of f double prime of x, because 2 does not equal to -1, by the way. So therefore, it does not exist. So this is how you write it with justifications. Landon first and Brenda.
Do we actually show what they equal to, like the slope, or just kind of like the not equal to?
That part I don't know. I don't know about grading, but if you can write down like this, I think it'll be good enough. But I think for me, usually provide evidence, because evidence is what they're looking for on AP exam. That part I don't know, depends on the grader. What's their preference? Is because it's already worth 1 point. At this case, I mean, I don't know what they will give it to you. I have to look at the rubric.
Oh.
But we can look at the rubric together. So let's just say this one's 2017. Now I like this one the most out of all the AP exam, because I think this question asks a lot of things I want to ask. So I think this is my favorite type of questions. So let's look at that. Oh, you have to provide it. Yeah. They actually use definition and derivative. That just means the slope, which is fun. Either way is fun. Do you see the table? Right? Do you see f of 0? Now, this point, actually, they give you a point for that. F prime of 0 is equal to 0. F prime of x equal to 0 equal to -2 and 2. Write it out, just in case. Try to get that point as well. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to be critical to take points off on you. If I'm taking points off on you, I'm going to show you what the grader's perspective looking at. Now, if you think I'm trying to penalize you, no, I'm not trying to penalize you. I'm trying to tell you what is rubrics like, because I'd rather you missing a few points here and learn your lesson from here than later where the grader only don't look at you is you are Lien, you always score very good on the test. They will not do that. They look at you as a barcode. They don't even know which state you're from. None of that's which high school, which student are you. And they don't know anything about you. So you have to express the way they want you to express. And that's why I'm so picky about those points. Because if you fix right attitude right now, you would get the right points. Now, if you miss the points right now, it doesn't mean anything. It just means that there is opportunity you learn from that mistake. But if I don't take a point off, you don't think that's a mistake. If you don't think that's a mistake, then the grader is gonna, then you forgot it. Sometimes you learn more from your mistake than learn whatever you get them all right. So that's why I want to take points off on you. It's not because I want to penalize you, because I care about you, actually. So you gotta understand that. So yeah, that's how you earn all the points. I will try to give you one more question, and the other question I didn't go over, but the other question I think is 2019. I'm not entirely sure, or 2018 FRQ. You can look at scoring guideline. That one has use substitution. That one has a little bit different. That one's harder than this one. I thought that one is particularly harder. So let's look at the other one. 2018 FRQ. So again, this one has an initial condition, f1 is equal to 3, and they say what is the value f of -5. I think that one's fairly easy to get, but for B, it's actually a little bit harder, because from 1 to 6, which is you have to count a square plus area under the curve of that thing. That thing requires U substitution. Did anybody use U substitution? Nice. And Olivia, you need to go back to it. And what interval, if anything, both increasing concave up? So they ask two conditions at the same time. So you have to make sure that you want F increasing and concave up at the same time. X coordinate inflection point, usually they are pretty easy. So the answer is going to be, I think it's only 4, right? Yeah. It's only 4 because it did not go up and down. It go up and stop for 2 more units and go down. So that doesn't count as an inflection point. So I think the hardest part for this question is B, which is require U substitution. And if you want to check the answer, you can look at 2018 FRQ scoring guideline. Really? Yeah. Oh, I know this one's harder, but maybe I'm wrong. Wait, last one. Yeah, I guess last one has a table. That's more annoying. This one doesn't have a table, but this one has a very good U substitution questions. Not very hard. U equal to x minus 2. Or you can expand them. I don't know if you want to do that. Does anybody expand them or anybody use U substitution? What did you do? Yes, you can keep a test. Go back and make sure you don't make those mistake again.
Can I come up to school and get some up with people?
You can always come, dude. I never stop. I'm only worried about you not coming. That's the main thing I'm proud of. And I'm worried about you don't ask questions in class. That's my bigger problem.
I fixed everything now.
Okay, no, it's fine, but I think I need to fill out the actual new stuff.
I think if there was one.
Put it over there on the inside.
Does it matter what file you use?
Just, there's one other test, Stephanos test over there.
Yeah. No, I can do Korean.
Bye.
In the middle of winter, during a cold snap. No, somewhere in there. Minneapolis. Well, let's see. Anyway, but whatever if a cold snap in the middle of winter.
Alan wrote it. Yeah, I know that makes sense.
What do we gotta go? Alright.
What? Sorry.
We're gonna go to the on your worried. Oh, second. I'll lose. I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna go in the and they don't think I'm not trying. And then center his oh 100% slot.
Wait, I'll put it in my face.
This 3A can I put that in center?
Yeah, I'll enjoy it again.
I need my test.
I think well, we were studying until 3 in the morning last night, so I figured you over much. Oh, he texted me, I didn't reply, I got school.
It's like who's Martin Luther King?
Huh?